Hello, dear listener.
Listener, plural?
Well, you could be listening to it with friends, I suppose. You're right, I shouldn't discriminate.
Oh.
I often listen to podcasts by myself because I am very frustrated. I would be very frustrating to listen to a podcast with because my retention is very bad. And so I listen to podcasts like I read. I'll miss something or I'll hear something, I'll get distracted and I'll have to go back. The amount of times I press the back 10 seconds button when I'm listening to a podcast should be outlawed. It's ridiculous. But so I'll take like an hour to listen to a half-hour podcast because I've got to take it all in. I've got massive FOMO when it comes to listening. And if you, dear listener or listeners, had to do that with this episode, I'm not moving very fast as it is.
A lot of people would tend to press the skip forward 10-second episode.
Yeah. It's good to have that feature when you're listening to a podcast with me, Brendan, in it. Also, this podcast has you, Frank, in it.
It does. Please don't skip me.
No, don't skip Frank. He's too high quality. Skip me all you like, dear listener. Open bracket. S close bracket. Hey Marty, how you doing?
Hi, good. And everybody just skip back 10 now and listen to Frank again.
Listen to Frank again, then skip this bit and go back and listen to Marty.
Yeah.
And if you got time to listen to me.
This is an interactive podcast, people.
Choose your own podcast.
This episode of the Hammerbomb Project is called The Waiting Game.
And while you're choosing your own podcast, why not choose a podcast where someone can talk properly? No, why not choose a podcast where three gentlemen who have been friends for a long time sit down together and talk about an episode of Bluey? Huh? Why not?
Why?
Answer me. Oh, hang on. No, that is a one-way relationship.
That's not how podcasts
with our
work.
dear listener.
Yeah.
Sir.
They
Please
don't have a microphone.
Send your emails in response to that question, and we'll get them in a bit.
No, put them in a return address envelope.
Yeah, that's it.
And send them to what was the address that was always on like Saturday Disney? It's like Crow's Nest, Victoria. Or something.
That's right,
We always send you
P.O.
things.
Box, blah, blah, blah.
But all this to say, my point is, hello and welcome to the Hammerbomb Project. We are going to bark down an episode of Bluey like we always do. What episode should we bark down today? Huh?
Are you done?
I'm done.
This episode of Bluey is called Featherwand.
Oh, where's this? This is season 2.
This is season 2, episode 3.
Early season 2.
And probably one of the more well-known episodes. There's a lot of memes out there about it. But before I spoil too much more, Marty, can you please give us the bare bones of this episode?
So I think this is really just a morality tale about what happens when you're underage and you're using magic outside of Hogwarts. And that's pretty much all I've got for this one.
Short and sweet. It's all it needed.
This episode's just a good time.
Well, didn't
really.
they have didn't they have a post of the episode or something and it was based on Harry Potter or something?
There are a few of those, posters like the buses episode is done up to look like Speed, the movie. Those sorts of things.
Yeah. Well, even the music in this one has that John Williams-esque sort of nature
in the
to
Hall
it.
of the Mountain King, I believe is the name of the beast.
There you go.
I think the instrumentation that they use in this is very Harry Potter-esque. But what's it really about? So Bluey's going to be able to... She's going to go to a party. Bingo doesn't get to go. Somebody suggests that she can make her own fun. And so she finds a Featherwand, which is a feather, which seems to have the remarkable ability to make things heavy. And so she becomes the foil in Bluey and the rest of the family getting out the door to this party.
Yeah.
So lots of fun animation play and set pieces with stuff being heavy.
They don't waste any time getting straight into the feels of this episode and the
Moral
and the
of the
sort of
story.
like and the how anybody can relate to that because it's straight off the bat like right after Bingo says cellophane.
Ooh, cellophane. Everything's
red, which is brilliant. I mean, who didn't do that? But also just like yay, and then you see Chili's face like straight away. She's like, oh, I have to
Chili?
explain that.
Yeah.
There's only 7 people going to this party, and you don't get to. And it's your heart kind of breaks a little bit, but you're always Of course, there's going to be situations like that. And so for a moment, I thought, oh no, Bingo's going to be crushed. But the moment that feather falls from the bird and it's like everyone's like, oh, you can make your own fun, Bingo. And for a moment, you're like, oh, is she going to struggle to make her own fun? But she's right into it.
Yep.
The imagination of this kid.
Importantly, everyone else in the family is into it, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
there's one moment of
the very first one, the very first Featherwand, where Bandit's clearly, he's still getting his breakfast organised. Featherwand, what? Feather heavy, and then he's like, oh, and then he's into it. And what I love is that there's none of that. You don't see that with like Chili or with Bluey.
No.
As far as I can tell, Bluey never actually even sees Bingo when she, uses the bath as a conduit to sneak up on her sister.
Yeah.
Heavy bang, and she's straight into it. Like we often talk about the commitment of Bandit to the bit. This is commitment at a family level, and it's outstanding.
And we also often talk about the blurring the line between the actual magic and just playing and understanding when it's a game. And so it's like it is magical the way it works in the show, but it's also not so magical that it's not too magical, because you can tell that Bandit genuinely didn't hear what, and so that's the only reason why he faltered. But then you kind of get to suspend your disbelief, and you kind of picture that for Chili and Bluey, they kind of caught on by, I don't know, osmosis, or they overheard. There's only 1 minute, and you can't blame Bandit because he just genuinely didn't hear. But the moment he realizes what's going on, he's in it, and then that vibe spreads throughout the house.
For me, this is one of the ones that blurs that fantasy reality line the most.
Yeah.
Because even things like Bandit continues to play when there's no one to experience it.
Sorry. My favorite line is when he's doing that. So
they're just when he's got the ball and he's trying to lever up the spoon, and somehow that's not working.
What's wrong, Bandit? You used to be able to lift spoons.
What's wrong, Bandit? You used to be able to lift spoons. Just give those writers all the Oscars that there are to give. That's top marks.
Even the fact that the ball you could see the ball squishing, and the thing's bending. You're like, how
okay. I'll have to rewatch. Even the props in the show are getting in on the play. Oh man,
I think that's
wowee.
For me, that makes it just like a step beyond some of the other ones we've had, like Magic Xylophone, and some of the other ones that have this sort of play to it, this fantasy aspect to it that you're not really sure if it's real magic or not.
What does Bandit say just before you mentioned
Eat your
making
floor
breakfast?
cereal.
Yeah. Bingo, do you want cereal?
Yeah, you want cereal.
That's
and
excellent.
it's even like, I love the line before it's clear to them why everything's weird, and just like, what, Dad, what's going on? Nothing. I don't know. Eat your floor cereal. And Bluey's just like, best morning ever.
Yeah, because before that with the toothbrush, I was watching this episode with Nora, my little niece, with whom I live with her parents. Everybody knows this by now. But with the toothbrush, like Bingo
floor.
sneaks in, and as an audience member, this is the first time. Is it? It's Bluey first before Chili getting in on the play, isn't it? It's Bandit.
It goes Bandit, Bluey,
then Bluey.
Chili,
Yeah. So you're still not sure whether Bluey's in on it, but Bingo sneaks in and like heavy on the toothbrush, and then you go, "What? That's weird." Mom, do I have to brush my teeth? Yes. Oh well, and like you can tell that she wants to, and she's a playful dog. Yeah. She wants to get on the ground and rub her face in things on the ground. That's just something that she's decided she wants to do. But she also wants to. Outside, it's like Chili's aware of the game, but she also makes the most of the fact that Chili's not aware that the toothbrush is on the ground, and so she just goes, "Oh, Mom, do I have to?" Yep. Well, she's have to, and she gets to fulfill her childhood wish of going. Blah, 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 blah. And I laughed out loud at that bit when Nora was in the room, and I got to be careful because. We were talking in the last episode when we were chatting about Unicourse about the idea of remembering things more, and does it get difficult when kids get old enough to remember the things you said that you thought they might have forgotten? And here I am laughing at someone with
brushing
a toothbrush on the floor going, like, next time I have to do a Brenny put down.
That's going to happen.
Is that going to happen? Because
do I have to brush my teeth,
validated it by
Brenny?
laughing.
Yes.
Yes, you do. And then I'll come into the...
I think if anybody, Chili probably hams it up the most.
Yeah.
She's kind of like, there's a little bit, maybe it's just the tone of voice or something like that, but there's a little bit of like, where's that invitation?
Maybe there's
it's here on the floor. I'm just going to have to write it down. That sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe she's compensating for some lingering guilt that she didn't sell it to Bingo, and like her heart's still a little bit broken that Bingo. So maybe she's for Bingo, just kind of like really putting it in them. I don't know, just a working theory.
So, question without notice then.
Ooh.
What's the address of the party?
She says 26. And then I forget the next bit.
26 Nudgy Road. And I'm just like, if you had to make a fictional street in Queensland, Nudgy is top 5 of what you would call that street.
That sounds Queensland as anything, doesn't it?
I think the bit that I love the most about that whole thing is when you then see her downstairs, and not only it's been written down her arm and then down the rest of her body, so you can see that she's progressively dropped it down as she's been writing the whole thing, because it cuts away while she's still writing to like what Bingo's doing or something else. And then, when you go downstairs, you see that she's had to progressively go down. I also like the idea that things, when you hit them with the Featherwand, are heavy, but heavy in relation to their actual mass. So it's actually still possible to pick up
the texter,
the texter and the invitation, but they're just really heavy. It's not like everything immediately gets stuck to the floor. There's an internal consistency there in the hard magic system that is really pleasing to me.
And so we've spoken about the commitment of the family, but of course then there's the fifth member of the family, if you will, and his commitment to the play. He's just walking past, or as he says, walking down the footpath.
That is one of your favourite things, Brendan, isn't it? Singing about stuff that you're doing.
Singing about stuff that you're doing. Oh, speaking of, before you forget to mention it, he wasn't singing about stuff that he was doing, but he was just scatting, doing his own thing when Bandit first walks into the kitchen. He's not even singing about what he's doing, just singing about...
He's making his own
sort
fun.
of interpretively about what he's feeling. But, oh man, Pat, Lucky's dad... Oh,
and then straight away, you need to stop Bingo. Oh, okay. And righto. And just the running with the arms flailing behind like ninja style where they run at each other. And then boom, heavy.
We talk about blurring the line and how does everybody understand the rules of this game so quickly. Pat is consistently one of the best characters, just getting amongst that game immediately without any warning. And he's not even part of the household.
Yep.
He's just a pro.
It's not like they said, oh, you need to stop Bingo. She's got a feather wand. And even that wouldn't have been, if you're an innocent bystander, that's not really enough information to know what's going on.
And he's still down for the count after the whole thing's been resolved. He's still under his heavy hat.
Oh, we jumped over, not only is it like Harry Potter-esque, we jumped over the Lord of the Rings reference.
Oh, yes.
When Bandit's standing in the door and he's like, you shall not pass.
It's worth a try.
And there was, of course, I'm going to call it an Indiana Jones moment when the big green ball comes bouncing down the stairs, which leads to one of my other favourite non-lines of dialogue, just the maniacal laugh of Bingo. and the eyes just go that little bit crate wider and the pupils, smaller. Oh, so good.
I love them all converging in the kitchen. I think it's when they figure out, they finally go, oh no, she's got a feather wand. And that's what's been causing all the issues. And they have to come up with a plan. Or even do they converge a couple of times in the kitchen? Because they kind of leave Bandit there at some point with a broom.
I didn't think it would end like this.
Yeah.
They are going to leave Buggerlugs here to distract.
Buggerlugs. Nice.
But yeah, so it's almost like, almost has that horror film sort of thing of like everybody comes together and then there's the the person
it is a real classic
and they're being
sort of Wes Craven kind of posse in danger kind of
trying to escape and they're being chased by the
that's well done. I love that. Going back to Bluey just rubbing her face in that toothbrush on the floor. I love that the toothpaste is just on her mouth for the rest of the episode.
Entire rest of the
She's
episode.
like getting in the car to go to the party and just covered in toothpaste.
Like that bit where she starts eating her cereal and her face is still full of toothpaste. I cringe because I'm like, that's going to taste gross.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Actually, milk is one of the only things that actually tastes like milk after brushing. Like, you don't want to drink some juice. You don't want to do that.
No.
But, you brush your teeth, have a bit of milk. It's usually still all right. There's something about milk. Yeah.
Nah.
No, milk's all right. But the cereal itself, I don't know. You're just kind of ruining it.
Yeah.
By brushing teeth. And also, what are you doing brushing teeth before you
Yeah, exactly.
your breakfast?
Yeah, that's weird.
You're setting yourself up for the day if you've had your brekkie. Then you do the brush. You be kind to your teeth, folks. And your taste buds. For crying out loud.
Oh, on the toothbrush though.
Yeah.
As I'm not sure if that was a doggy treat from you, Frank.
Oh,
So-
no, try me.
Oh well, what's Bluey's toothbrush? What's special?
good question.
Oh, I did not see that one. You're gonna have to school me on this.
I'm fairly sure it's a chutney chimp toothbrush.
Yep.
So
well, there's the
there's a
chutney
couple-
chip reference at the start.
No,
where
wrapping
it's-
paper,
They're
yeah.
wrapping paper.
I'm
the
brushing my
present, yeah.
teeth with a chutney toothbrush because the party they're going to is chutney chip theme.
Was not a line from the show.
Hey, we're talking about
You were-
blurring the lines, suspending disbelief.
Or you
I
could just be
choose
wrong.
to believe that it was.
You're just wrong. That's
I
what
was
it
just
is.
trying to be. I was trying to do my own thing.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
I'll let our dear listener be the judge. I don't have high hopes.
I can hear them writing that email already.
Putting that stamp on.
Going back to our good friend Pat, the other thing I want to point out is his hat. He's very Australiana in the sort of wide brim hat that it is, but it has a very familiar looking.
Yeah,
I'm not
what's
sure
the
if that's
logo on there?
it's. I don't want to say it's exactly, but to me, it is the Queensland Maroons, which of course is the rugby team for the state. It's definitely got the Queensland colours. Like that maroon colour is like on their state, one of their state colours, I believe. Right. But maroon has got like sort of an orange V in the middle of it, I believe.
Okay.
I can't imagine it's exactly right because copyright law is a thing.
Really?
But it's the sort of thing you go, yeah, I'll buy that. Like Pat would wear a sporting hat, basically.
Yeah. Well, when we see them in the backyard with the washing line, it's maroon coloured sort of jerseys.
Yes,
So
jerseys, yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Queensland through and through, our Pat.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the end of the episode brings us to a head where, all right, bingo, you win. Okay, unheavy. And then there's a devious little plan formed. There's a bit of a, when you get back, what did you just say? Nothing.
So
See
devious.
you soon.
And Bandits is terrified. It's like, what did you say? What did you just whisper to your sister? Because what does Bigger say?
I was like, you'll find
They're
out.
just both just so devious.
Leads us to another. You talk about catchphrases and stuff. They heavy the toilet seat just as Bandit's trying to go about his business.
Oh, what a
And then,
great
of
way
course,
to end.
he runs
the
out
toilet,
the front.
boss.
Yeah,
Yeah, just go to the toilet, boss.
No, we get a bit of a. Now this has got to be the first for season 2. I'm assuming it shows.
Oh,
up
well,
in
with this episode 3, yeah, you'd think so.
a bit of a morning one day.
Morning, Wendy. I love it.
You also get Chili just going, Bandit, what are you doing? I think when we watched this back, my wife sort of just went, poor Wendy. Like, first...
She's exposed to a lot.
If it's not Bandit's butt rubbing up against the window, he's having a whiz out the front. Like, God. It's no wonder they, later, and again, not trying to get into spoilers, but later on in season 3, there is a very Wendy-centric episode.
Yeah, Wendy. And Joe said that. Joe Brum, everyone. So not to name drop, but Joe Brum, creator
Joe Brum.
of Bluey. The guy we spoke to.
He's been on the show. Friend of ours.
Just no big deal. We just spoke to Joe Brum, the creator of Bluey. He did mention though he'd get to have a bit more fun with Wendy, and who knows in this second half of of season 3 that maybe there's more Wendy. I hope so. I love the vibe.
There's one other little ditty in this episode I want to shout out. So we talked about Bandit's little self-musical interlude.
Yeah.
We talked about Pat's very descriptive musical interlude. There's one more.
What could Frank be talking about?
It's by our good friend Bingo, star of the episode.
Oh, yes, there's a house.
There's a house with a wall, with a wall, with a wall. There's a house with a wall. And that's it. Like, and you go, do you know what? 1, 2, 3, 4 walls. Like, she's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, is that the only place that little song, is that a song? Is that, you guys would know better than me as
Like
being
in
dads.
another episode, you
Oh,
mean?
but just from something, from...
It's awfully familiar. So
Yeah.
I
It
feel
feels
like
like
it's
it's
a
not
real
just
song.
maybe. But it's nice. But all these things like Joe Brum, the creative Bluey.
Oh,
we
that guy.
spoke to him the other day.
Yeah, that's
This is
right.
no big
Joe
deal.
Brum. Yeah.
He said like a lot of that stuff is just from for real life, from not for real life, but from real life.
Yeah, his kid's just randomly making up a song. He goes,
Like that little,
I'll use that.
that little Thanksgiving before the meal.
Yes.
Yeah, and all those things that you can imagine come from like play groups and things that kids go to, or the writing staff's kids and stuff like that.
Any doggy treats, Frank? Because I think I've got one little more thing that I enjoy.
there is.
Ooh, you already got one
I
in there
could-
with a toothbrush.
Yeah, I reckon. You've already shown me up.
Settle
down.
He's looking to replace you, Frank. I'd watch you.
It's
roll.
another one that I just noticed. It's probably not really a doggy treat, but it's a really nice little detail. I'd never noticed before that the feet on the bath were paws.
Oh, that's
Oh,
nice.
So it's
good
like
call.
it's a bath with
'Cause-
feet, and usually they're
It's one of those
sort
ones that's
I don't
up
know.
off the. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
they're
wonder-
quite.
I wonder
they're
because
quite pretty clearly
traditionally-
dog paws.
Because traditionally, dog paws as opposed to the lion
The
paws,
claw,
which
yeah.
those
Yeah.
because we've got one of those at home with the cast iron baths.
Ooh.
With the la-dee-da.
I like to have my bath an inch above the ground, and I like dust to collect all the way underneath
the
there.
bath. It's very convenient. Yes. Look, the only doggy treat I did find, there was obviously a couple of tennis balls that were found in the hallway of the house. That's a pretty common occurrence that we see in the show. Couldn't find any long dogs in this one. Possibly Bingo heavied it through the floor or something. I don't know.
There's one on the. Is there one on the fridge? At some point,
There has been in other episodes. I don't know about this one. That's
one.
always a good one. You try and look for a misshapen letter magnet to be a long dog. I will say, just before we round up, this episode kind of inspired my son to use the word heavy. Like when something, like if he's trying to open a container of something, or he's trying to push a door open, he now turns to me and goes, bit heavy, which is his code for I can't quite do the thing I'm trying to do.
When Naomi picked up heavy, that was just like she couldn't undo the clips on something, or like on the seat or something like that, and she's just like heavy, which basically means I can't do it. I'm not strong enough to do this thing. So it doesn't matter.
Cool.
It doesn't matter if it's got to do with weight or not. It's just too hard for me.
Bit heavy.
Oh, well, Nora uses heavy whenever she hears something like really sort of shocking and overwhelming. Just, whoa, that's heavy.
It's heavy, man.
That's
Influenced
not
by
true.
you in any way from constantly showing her?
Go on.
Back
What
to
was
the
it going?
Future.
Yeah, there it was. I knew that's where you're going. Good man, Martin. Yeah, that's not true. I just wanted to reference Back to the Future.
Didn't think it would end like this.
I'm going to use that, actually.
Yeah, do it.
No, I'm going to leave this all in so that all the listeners know that I just stole Frank's idea to end the episode. Oh, I didn't think it would end like this. I'm a genius for thinking of that, like a reference to the show.
You're so clever.
That's so clever. Well, folks,
Go 10 seconds forward.
just go 10 seconds forward.
Just do it. Even if you stop now, it'll say that you've watched the whole thing. So it's okay.
It'll say just
It counts.
skip over the bit where Brennan just prattles on, thinking of a way to get to the point where he says, "Thank you for listening. Until next time, we will be down aisle 300."
Left at the fake grass.
If you hit a flamingo, you've gone too far.
Created and produced by Frank, Brennan and Marty. You can follow the Hammerbarn Project on facebook.com/HammerbarnProj, at HammerbarnProj on Twitter, or Hammerbarn_project on Instagram. Theme featuring Nibblings, Kaylee, Jade, Ashley and Reese, and PA announcements by brother-in-law, me, Josh. Thanks for listening, and remember to get down to Hammerbarn for cheap shovels.